Here's a Middle East recap and update with some predictions for the near future. Israel has successfully conducted extensive operations against Hamas inside Gaza while mitigating threat and counterstriking Houthis in Yemen to the south, Hezbollah in Lebanon to the north, and they've struck inside Iran and Syria. The U.S. has also counterstruck Iranian proxy elements inside Iraq after they struck a U.S. base in Jordan. On January 23rd, twin explosions killed approximately 84 attending an annual ceremony for slain IRGC General Soleimani in Kerman, Iran. ISIL claimed responsibility for that attack, but some in the Middle East still believe it was Mossad, and in the Middle East, perception is reality. On April 1st, Israel struck IRGC generals while they were in the Iranian embassy in Damascus, Syria. On May 21st, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi was killed in a helicopter crash. That was caused by bad weather. However, some in the Middle East still believe it was Mossad, and again, in the Middle East, perception is reality. On July 20th, Israel struck Houthis in Yemen at the Red Sea port in Hodeidah, and they are still striking in Yemen to this day. On July 30th, Israel eliminated Hezbollah leader Fuad Shukr in a strike in Beirut. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah talked about crossing red lines, and he promised retribution, inshallah. Then, less than a day later, July 31st, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was killed by some type of explosion in a private military residence outside of Tehran, Iran. They're still arguing over what caused that explosion. At the end of the day, New York Times has reported it was a bomb detonated by Mossad agents inside Iran, and either way, Haniyeh has been eliminated. September 18th, pagers and handheld radios exploded throughout Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah members. Approximately 32 were killed, and over 3,200 were injured. Again, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah talked about crossing red lines. There's been international outrage over a possible international humanitarian law violation. Hassan Nasrallah promised retribution or a revenge, inshallah. However, less than 2 weeks later, September 27th, IDF struck Beirut, Lebanon again, this time eliminating Hezbollah General Secretary Hassan Nasrallah himself. And he had been preaching Labaik Ya Hussein, Labaik Ya Zainab to his people, which is essentially a call to martyrdom. However, at the same time, he reportedly arranged for his family and some friends to be taken to safety in Iraq. Israel is a minority nation of approximately 9 million, surrounded by 473 million potential enemies. That is 52 times their population. However, they have effectively mitigated threats and demonstrated an ability to strike key leader targets in multiple regions and directions while facing what I believe will amount to be limited actual scrutiny or tangible enforcement actions in the international community's legal framework within the United Nations and the International Criminal Court due to the nature of this ongoing international and non-international armed conflict. It's a scenario with asymmetric warfare, non-state actors, terrorist organizations, and given the historical and cultural context of the war in the Middle East. Don't forget, the United Nations partially helped set up this whole situation. So here are my predictions of a few likely courses of actions and outcomes. Israel will continue to conduct preemptive targeted strikes at will and with continued success. Israel already has boots on the ground in Lebanon and will also continue targeted military actions there. They will not encounter as stiff of resistance as in 2006. Post October 7th, they are much more in a war-fighting versus counterinsurgency mode. I see no indicators that the so-called resistance can counter these offensive actions. Nevertheless, Iran and Hezbollah will continue efforts of asymmetric warfare, but they may see internal instability and their efforts will continue to weaken and be ineffective. For these reasons, Hezbollah will likely attempt a large-scale theatrical terror attack in the US, Europe, or wherever they may find soft Israeli targets because they can't fight Israel militarily toe-to-toe. The US will continue diplomatic and military support. The United Nations will continue to call for diplomatic solutions. Increased internal strain will impact Lebanon, which may fall into an all-out civil war again. I'm Rebel Intel, and if you like this content, please follow, like, share, subscribe, and stand by for a briefer but more in-depth follow-up where I will go over why there are some UN Special Rapporteurs who are opposed to Israeli counterterrorism efforts, whether or not the pager and radio scenario was an international humanitarian law violation. Why are IRGC personnel targeting Trump for a cyber attack and not Israel? And the implications of the swirling rumors of an eliminated Yahya Sinwar.